Hello again. It's Sherry again, and I'm just not. I don't have all that much to say, and um, which is basically usually the case. There's a reason that I do these uh, monovlogs, and that would be so that I can help some of the people that are in my that they're in my life, but I am not in their life. Or they are in my life, but they are, okay, hold on, how do I put this? Okay, I am a part of their life, but they are not a part of my life. And it's a very difficult concept for some of the people that are around here to understand. So, one of the issues is just basically understanding the difference between my personal property and property that is available for others to use, like, as their resource, or as a way of getting everything free. And I don't know exactly. It mainly revolves around a church, and there's really only one person in that church that's really technically inclined. However, and he's kind of a friend in a way, but maybe not. I'm not sure. Because one of the things that he's doing that is really bothering me, and I think it's facilitating a lot of problems that are going on online, is that he does not have the same standard as a hacker that I do. I'm not a white hat hacker, so don't get that wrong. My hat is as black as it can be, and I'm not sure what he thinks of himself as, but I don't consider him to be an actual hacker because he's not doing anything new or unique ever. It's the same thing over and over, but it is escalating into a very large problem. Uh, Namely offline files. I don't know why. I may know why. Okay, a lot of the people around here don't want to log on to Wi-Fi, even if it's being paid for, and they have that cable service to the internet, high-speed internet available. They want to log on offline and use uh, the internet offline, which is totally possible. I don't do it myself. I've never done it. I don't even totally understand the way it works. But I think it has to do with there's something out there now. It's called a closed circuit uh, town or police department. They say New York is the closed circuit police department, but I'm kind of wondering how true that is, because plenty of people there, I think, still have access to news outside of New York. But when a town or some people in a town decide to make the town a closed circuit town, that means that they will use their DVRs maxed out. They will max out. Um, they will max out because then they can watch it offline. They will max out, in particularly my recovery drive, which I actually don't have a recovery drive on my computer, but I do have restore points. And it's very frustrating. I have to go in several times a day, and they max it out to 100% restore points. So I delete them because it's a way of never having to pay for anything by just using backups of what is already there. There's a big problem with that. Those eventually deteriorate, and they cut themselves off from the rest of the world, which I think is their intention by doing the closed source police. I don't think they have closed source police here anymore, but there is definitely a closed source faction of the town, and they're not satisfied with just not closed circuit. They're not satisfied with just having their closed circuit. They want to bring everyone else into it involuntarily. And I'm particularly frustrated with this one guy who I know. who uses this tool that he calls a hacker tool, but it's not. It's just Windows NT offline password. You can get people's passwords. So even though we're kind of friends, he's kind of impressionable, and he'll do a lot of things that people ask him to do. And I just think the way he does things is really ass backwards. Like, I don't understand installing an operating system on a recovery drive so that you don't have to use the license. So um, he's really frustrating, and for some reason, this community, that closed circuit community that would like to draw everyone in, is doing a pretty good job. Even if you're in another state, trust me, they're doing a pretty good job. I am not in the closed circuit, but it's a constant battle for me. Right now, I'm in the process of taking off a lot of software that Michael installed on my computer without asking. I don't know why he did that. And that was probably what triggered the ransomware. And yeah, I'm just going to squarely just say, okay, Michael, I think maybe you triggered that. And I don't know that he could really be held responsible for it, because I think he might be really autistic. And he's a really nice guy. And when we're together and we talk, we have a ball talking. But he's the kind of person who's a really good person. But if someone pressures him, he's going to more than likely do whatever they ask him to do. And I think that's very unfair. I think he's taken advantage of, and ends up being the technical part of a bad string of unfortunate circumstances. So for the very first time, I Googled his name last night. And I don't think he's aware of this, but when I Google his name, basically what comes up are hundreds of obituaries and a life insurance firm somewhere, possibly in Arkansas, but I'm not sure where it is. So uh, the guy out there who is very impressionable, who is going to do what you ask him to do, is the one who's going to take all the blame for what's going on. And that's too bad, because he's not following orders, and he does have a choice, but it's difficult for him, I think, to say no. And he's handsome. He doesn't even realize how handsome he is. He could have any girl he wanted. But he seems to be, I don't understand why he doesn't understand privacy and personal property. It was a problem with this whole church, and they started out fixating on my Dropbox, and that ended up, escalating into fixating on certain individuals that I had some photos of in my Dropbox. And things spiraled out of control, and here I am today with uh, getting online and looking at my bank and noticing, years back, that the numbers aren't right, and they don't match the numbers at the actual bank. So somebody is skimming off previous year's income to make it look like they have income. And it's a very easy pattern to spot. I have caught the same person doing this several times. It's not Michael that does that. Michael just does technical work. And but there are at least one or two people who are skimming money off of income I earned a previous year, and filing, I guess, a dead spouse claim to get the money that is supposedly paying back a student loan. But you don't pay back the same student loan 3 years in a row. So I guess they didn't think that I would notice, but I do. Very careful with my finances. And one of the reasons I'm so mad is because I'm broke. And because I did get 2 instances of ransomware that flowed through my computer, which is I can't even really stress how important it is that I not be in this area. And I don't know, I don't want to sound like, oh, come pick me up and get me out of here, but it's a big deal. And closed circuit police departments are typically in Africa somewhere, or somewhere with a lot of violence, and their job is to try to prevent the crimes before it happens. They're not peacekeepers, and what you sort of they sort of become encapsulated in a sort of a bubble, you know. If it's closed circuit, you're just recirculating things all the time. Whereas I'm more of one who, once I've, looked at something or done something, like maybe just look at some pictures in a Dropbox. Well, if it's mine, I'll look at them several times. But or perhaps, some of these computer related death threats, which are very common, especially in the Linux community. I mean, they will fight and fight. I try to stay away from that, but eventually, everybody that works in the computer industry is going to receive some death threats. It's just the nature of the job. Don't ask me why, they just do. And they do it to each other too. And a lot of people don't, but there are some that do. And a lot of times, especially with Linux, it used to be worse. Everyone wants to be king, but they're not. And Ubuntu has really chilled out on that. They're getting a lot better. I still wouldn't get on IRC. That's a crazy, crazy train. But I'm really imploring that Michael stop using his freaking Windows NT offline file bullshit on my computer. And don't port share, and just stay away from my computer. If you want to be friends, come back over and we can talk about computers together. But don't get in my computer ever again. Just don't. I'm still picking off, and taking out all the fucking crap you did to my computer for the last 3 days. I'm sick of it, Michael. So grow up, get a life, and leave me alone. Because I do like you, and I do think you're a really cool person. But I'm not sure why you think it's okay to get in my computer, especially when there was ransomware this weekend, and you're the name that's coming up with like tons of obituaries, and in a life insurance company. I'm not seeing anybody else's name come up like that. So I feel that you're in a danger zone of taking a fall for a lot of really disgusting people in our little, violent, war-torn town. This closed circuit with a big giant airlock on it, because we were the drone capital of the world for a few years. And I'm telling you, you cannot even imagine what that's like. You cannot even imagine. At first, it didn't bother me at all. I wasn't particularly opposed to that, coming here. But what happened is that now somehow some people who feel that stealing is not a problem. It's not. It's not against anything, and they're literally trying to sell homes on a military base with when it's not even their property to sell. So it's kind of messed up here. And I'll tell you what, that ransomware is a bitch. There were some people who died last night, and I'm not going to say that it was directly related, but I will say this: it was directly related. I experienced a very terrible night. I experienced just about every case of ransomware that occurs, and I don't know why I have been assigned that particular project, because it sucks. It's painful. I know I'm not going to die during this, but it's really hard to see that after the ransomware, there are a few people that die. And someone did issue a statement today saying that ransomware is over. Over. One of the things is I've audited my bank, my bank account, my finances, and my paperwork, and I need my money back. Okay, I'm broke because I pay for all the software for this little group. I do the only actual legal tech support that's done, and I have spent 24 hours, I think, um, removing several different servers, and trying to understand why this individual wanted to put a live operating system on my computer, because it's looking more and more like you're headed toward that whole gated community thing, if you know what I mean. The gated community where you can't leave, the gated community where it's not fun. like maybe somebody in your family has done. But I'm thinking it's not really you that's responsible for all of this. I'm thinking that people are manipulating this person. And like I said, he's a good guy. But he's just very, very impressionable. And a lot of people think I have autism. I don't think I do. And I don't think that I do. I'm sure I don't have it. Um, and I think other people understand now that I don't. Okay. Or they don't understand it, but I don't care anyway. But I think he is too. So I don't think two people like that should fight with each other at all, ever. Like, it's not like we're on the same team, but it's like, you know, I don't know. I just feel like respect it and then respect it. Because I also am one who is sort of, um, I'll notice things and document things for a long, long time. But in a situation where you're you're always under the threat of violence, for me anyway, and some of the people I know here, um, always under the threat of violence. You never know when you're going to get a Bluetooth bomb in your medical equipment, or a bolus of nitro blown into your ear from a whatever. And it hurts, or possibly a family member wants to donate an arm or something to a whatever body form. You can consider this my speculative fiction notes, because I don't want to get too far into the topic. But um, I've decided to incorporate Michael into my science fiction book, but in a positive way. So I'm really hoping that he will put that little NT Windows program away. Quit messing with my computer. I still cannot understand why they have to go through my computer. Get your own PC, set it up, and then go through that. It might be because I have the only truly functional computer, because I purchased all my software. But the accounts payable on their end is really growing, and I'm running out of money as I support a lot of people as they live on $1 a day. Not sure why. Um, they feel like they should do $1 a day, and also heavily into. I was told 3 years ago by a family member, "You're a bobblehead voodoo doll." And well, I was like, well, that sounds really stupid. But over the years that have passed, I can see why they were calling me that. And it's not easy, you know. But if they, the, I just want to do my projects. I want to do my Decibel project and work on my books, read and do things that aren't related to having to document people stealing from me, and also seeing, what I see is hideous. That's just a kind of a rambling monovlog, if you will. I'm tired. I've been up for a long time trying to remove all the software off my computer. Changed the partition type on my hard drive, and that really pisses me off. People need to understand there's a demarcation between my personal property and what they can use or go through. And someone asked me the other day, "Do you get logged off of the computer several times a day?" And I said, "No, I don't actually." And it just happened to be. They said, "Well, I do," and I just did. And I just logged several people off of my password vault. So that would be a direct cause of why you were logged off the computer, because you were logged into my password vault. It seems like pretty straightforward logic, but they can't seem to understand that, it's impossible to deny that that's what it is. So anyway, I'm not in a real good mood. This ransomware thing's a really big deal, and I hope the governing body that said no more ransomware is really going to enforce that, because it's painful for the people with the medical equipment. Someone always ends up losing a life or injured. There's usually car wrecks, an earthquake, and a death or two. So anyway, have a great day. I am out.